day. Anytime you can come to the house of the Lord is always the best day. Through all that goes through, He still allowed us to be here. And before I get started, I just want to, we want to thank you all what you've done for us. You didn't have to do it. People don't have to be kind to you. And we just want to say we thank you for it. We enjoy it to the high, the lost of voice. Now, any saints, I let you know she really enjoyed it. Now, as we get into this lesson, begin to think about what we were before we got here. We look back and think we was heading to the cross. We went to the cross. We went after the cross. Now here we are going back again to the beginning of this now. When I look at the beginning and see what we're looking at, we're looking from the book of Isaiah, one of the major prophets. Now the book is divided into major and minor prophets. They say it's not that the minor prophets is less, they just have less information than the major prophet. And then if I continue to study that and think about who we're looking at, think about Isaiah and read about him. In the Bible, there are books. And Isaiah composed of 60. So they say Isaiah is a book by itself. Someone call it a fifth book. So as we begin to look about and think about what Isaiah was doing, Isaiah has been a major prophet. He had a vision. And God sent him a vision. You know, we spoke about vision before we got here. God sent him a vision. And the problem with that, the people that he had, God gave him a vision to, were some of the same people that God took to his own people. Those were the Israelites. Isn't that something? God chose them to be his people, and they were the worst people. One thing that they worshiped our God. Never like, no God. Now let's think. How would you worship something that you construct in your mind, build with your hand, and then you start worshiping? What's wrong with that? That's just foolish. They can say that's just messed up. You build it, then you start worshiping. And that's what the problem they had there. So when Isaiah, God called Isaiah to be a prophet and go and tell his people. Now, you know, in the beginning, there was one kingdom. Then they divided. And then after Solomon took over and died, they divided again. The division was that Solomon was cruel to the people, and his son Rehoboam was cruel than Solomon. So what the people said, we're going to get us another king. And the other king they got was a servant. Can you imagine? They rather have a servant than to have Solomon's son. Now that lets you know that man was really cruel. So when we get to this lesson, we talk about him. They divided the kingdom again. In Isaiah, he was a prophet for both Israel and Judea. So this lesson here today is about Judea, which is the southern kingdom. Israel was the northern kingdom. Now, as we get into this, and look what Isaiah was telling him, what God told him as a prophet. Then we look at a vision. Remember we said a vision? God comes to people in different visions and give visions to people. So he came here and gave him this vision and told him what to tell the people. When I thought about that vision, I thought about one person that comes to my mind. Oh, Nebuchadnezzar. Oh, King Nebuchadnezzar. He had a dream then. In that dream, none of his magicians, anybody interpret that dream. So who did he get? Not Daniel. Oh, Daniel. You remember Daniel? Daniel interpreted that dream for him. God told Daniel what to tell him. Now, you know, sometimes vision and dreams are not good. This one of them dreams was not good when he told him what happened. And then I began to look at our day and time. Some of us who are old enough, we know a man that had a dream. And that man had a dream, but sometimes dreams you're not able to fulfill, but other people fulfill. Who was that man that had a dream in our day and time? Martin Luther King. What was his speech? I have a dream. Now, he had a dream, and God gave him that dream. And that dream that he wasn't able to see it, but we see the dream. So sometimes God will allow a person to get a dream or a vision to fulfill that, but I want you, he said, I want you to get the message out to the people. Now, it's up to you to believe what that person's saying. Isaiah was telling them that, and they still didn't want to believe. He told them that if you don't straighten up, the same thing will happen to you all that just happened to the northern kingdom. What happened? Well, let's see. And we go back to what happened to Moses. They was in captivity for 400 years. That's good. When Moses came, he delivered them. Moses told them to
Don't do what the people over there do. What did they do? They got over there and they began to worship the high God. Okay? Joshua come along and told them, don't do what the people over there do. What did they do? Got over there and worshiped the high God. So after they worshiped the high God, he said, all right, you stayed in captivity for 400 years, so what he gonna do now? He put him in captivity for another 70 years. Now, wait a minute, I just came out. And here I go back in again because of my what? Because of my hard head and because of my sin. Sin is the cause of it. Now, as we get to this here before I go any further, the first thing it tells us is what? Dare to dream. What's the dare? Don't know what to do. That is a challenge. I challenge you not to dream. Wait a minute. You gonna tell me I can't dream? Yes. I challenge you to dream. A dream. When you have a dream, what do you do? You have hope. When you dream, you're looking for hope. And then begin to look at hope. I thought about 1 Corinthians 13 and 13. So what do we have? Faith, hope, and what? Love. And the grace of him is love. So what's in the middle of that thing? Hope. So when you dream, when you were small, you had a dream. What was your hope that dream would be? First thing, I hope that I would graduate from school. That was my first hope. Let me get out of my parents' house. Did you have that hope? Now, what did you do to fulfill that hope? You studied, went to school, got a job, you say? All those things that gave me hope. So you can't tell me not to have my hope. Hope was my dream. So what they say, challenge you to dream. How can you challenge me to dream? But it happened. Challenge you to dream. That means I'm going to show you that I'm going to be what you said I wasn't going to be. You challenge me, I'm going to dream, and I'm going to fulfill my dream. Now, suppose you dream and don't fulfill that dream. You just messed up, Deacon said. I would say you just a silent person. You got a dream, you don't let nobody stop you from your dream. If my dream, and God put on me to be a doctor, what I need to do? Study hard, go to school, and fulfill that dream, because Deacon Ransom said, you're not going to be a doctor. I challenge you that, yes I am. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to prove him wrong. I had the dream that one day I'll be a doctor. Nothing going to stop me from accomplishing that dream. Because if God gave it to me, man can't take it away from me. Man. So what happened here? Isaiah. He told them what was going to happen to him. Now we begin to get in this lesson this morning. What do we have? We see that we have 3 topics. I like it. You know, I like the number 3. Something about that 3, we said the Father, the Son, and the what? Holy Ghost. And look what we have. We have the power, we have the provision, and we have peace. And where do you get all that from? Look what it said. The first word of each one of those topics said, God. So that let me know there's no way around that. I got to give it all to the food. I take no credit for it. None. The beginning with this thing here begin right there. Now, as we get into this lesson here, it's something about this lesson that he was telling them back there. He's telling us today and telling the future. So this is a twofold lesson. It's about Judah and it's about us. How is that? This is a man God gave a vision 700 years before Jesus. Isn't that something? He said it's going to happen. What happened? Jesus went to what? Cross. He already had said this was going to happen 700 years before. Now tell me God not good. He gave to him. Was he there to see Jesus go to the cross? This man was dead. But the vision was there. God gave them that vision. Look what happened there. You see what I'm saying? God gives people different things you don't fulfill. And here's Isaiah predicted that 700 years what was going to happen. Now, he also predicted what's going to happen to Judah. As we begin in this thing right here, where it says, God power. Who has the power? God has the power. I hear Thomas in the sun. God's in the house. Or power's in the house. How do you know? The power's in the house. So who has that power to reign in the house? God has that power in the house. this morning, who woke you up? God had that power to wake you up this morning. Who got you here? God got you here. So who has that power? God. Who has that power to wake you to sleep at night? God. It's not your alarm clock to wake you up. It's who? God. And the first thing we begin with, God power. God power. Now that's something. Everything that happened this week, and here we are right here. Who did that? God. And that was under what? The power of God. As we begin, I'll give the first reader. Are you ready? All right, listen what happened.
For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind.
Now, when you read that, did you see anything in that? It's kind of throw y'all this out. For behold, I create a new heavens and a new earth. I said, yeah. What's in that kind of throw y'all when you say that word? A new heavens and a new earth. It's going to be two. All right? Because if you look on the word heavens, what do you see? S, and we put an S on, now that means what? More than one. So when I looked at that, I said, okay, John said in Revelation, God will create a new heaven and a new earth. Isaiah said a new heavens and a new earth. What's the difference? Change it around? He changed it around. Isaiah talking about heavens. John talking about heaven, a new heaven. Now let's get this straight. What Isaiah was talking about, a new heaven. Now if you go back and read, back in the day, Hebrew, as they said, they didn't have the word that we have. They called the word heavens, which means they was talking about earth. They weren't talking about the heavens that we know. When you talk about heavens here, you're talking about the atmosphere. You're talking about the land. So what he said, he gonna create that new what? Heavens. That's more. When you read over to John, he said God will create a new heaven. That means one. And what is that new heaven? Why is that new heaven he talking about? That's the heaven with God. What Isaiah is telling these people right here, the land will happen to them. This land will be destroyed. So God will create a new heavens for them. That's what we're talking about Judah. For us, John tells us God will create a new heaven for us. Now, why is that heaven there? You know, people always say, heaven's up in the sky. Why is heaven there? Where God is. And where is God at? Up. But if you read it says the new heaven and new earth gonna come where? Down. So what are we right here? We are already down. So you own one of the heavens. But that new heaven that he's talking about, that John tells us about, gonna come from the sky and come down. You know, people say, well, this new heaven is gonna be in the midst of the air. That's not good, midst of the air. Well, it's gonna be right here. This heaven we're talking about. When he's talking about the heaven right there, he's talking about this land. And he's talking about Jerusalem. What's going to happen? Jerusalem was destroyed. But he told them, I will create you a new what? Heaven and new earth. That means this earth right here, he told them this was God will create them. And then look at the other part. He said, and then whatever I created, you won't remember things of the past. Isn't that something? The way what happened to you back there, you won't even remember. He's still talking to them folks like that. Now, what does it tell us? John tells us about remember. We won't remember nothing of the past because we're going to get a new what? New heaven? New body. We consist of three things. A body, a soul, and a spirit. Now, when you die, now here's one that I study people on saying. When you die, what happened to you? You go back to dirt. The body goes back to dirt. But the soul and spirit go where? To God if you are righteous. The righteous go with God. The unrighteous, where do they go? Hell. Two places to go, heaven or hell. This lesson don't make that clear for you all. I had to do a lot of study to get that clear. So let's look at that next reading. Give it to us.
But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy.
The Jerusalem he created was destroyed. But he said that he gonna create another Jerusalem because God did this. And he said what? When I create this Jerusalem, I want you to what? Have joy in this Jerusalem. Now remember, these people was captive. For 70 years, they were captive. And he told them, because of their wrongdoing, this is why you've been captive. Now when he come back, he gonna create them a new heaven and a new earth. And you're going to rejoice in that. And read, what did that nation tell us?
And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people, and the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying.
In the new Jerusalem that he's going to create for them, there will be no more voices of weeping, no more hearing, and no more voice of crying. Who is he talking to? Isaiah is talking to Judah. When we drop over to Revelation, you have to get in Revelation 20:21. Who is John talking to? If Isaiah talking to Judah, when you go to 20:21, who is John talking to? Us. John is talking to us. Because we come after the what? Cross. What he talking about come what? Before the cross. So he telling them, when God created this new Jerusalem for them, there will be no more weeping and no more crying. John told us in our new Jerusalem that's coming down from the sky, there will be no more weeping, no more crying. Look at the two. They both saying the same thing, but they're talking at different times. One is talking before the cross, the other is talking after the cross. Who do we look forward to? Jesus, which is what? After the cross. He was telling them what's going to happen because they had been in captivity because of their wrongdoing. What are we doing today? Same thing. Because of our wrongdoing, we're in captivity because we are doing so wrong. Why are we doing so wrong? Because wrong seems to be right to us. You know, it's good to do wrong to some people. When I curse you out, that makes me feel good, as people say. You know, people do that. So that's a what? That's a wrong. When I talk about you and your backstab you, that makes me feel good. That's a what? That's a wrong. But what he told us, that all this is going to stop. No more crying, no more weeping. When is this going to happen? When Jesus comes back. Now, this lesson going to tell us something about Jesus coming back. Did you know that, Ben, about how Jesus coming back here and how he going to prove a point to them? The same point you're proving to them, he's going to be proving to us. Question. People just looked at me this morning. I'm way off of it this morning. When I studied it this morning, though, I had to look at the two and see what he's talking about. This is a twofold lesson. One, he's talking to Judah, and the other, he's talking to us. John telling us what to do. Isaiah told him what to do, and it all came through a vision. What was it? John had a vision. When you go to Revelation, that's a vision. God told John to tell us what's happening. God told Isaiah to tell them what's going to happen. So we see that God has all the power to tell both of them because he has the power to do what? He has the power to tell them. He has the power to tell the past, and he has the power to tell the future. Here, we're looking at two comparisons. One is about the past, which is Judah. The other is the future, which is us. When we begin to look at this and study that, the God power, that's all that's about. When we get to the question, anybody else got something to say here? God power. The question says, now have you experienced the power of God restoring or transforming something old relationship, a pursuit or success of a project, and seeing new? Have you experienced something that was old, that it came back to seem new? No relationship. You dated an old girl a long time ago, and you come back inside date that girl again. Nobody ever done that? Nobody ever done that. Don't want to tell me. Okay. Nobody want to tell me. All right, I won't push you. I won't make anybody tell you. Don't tell off on yourself. But that's what that says right there. And who can restore that? Who can transfer that old to something new? God can do that. Did I hear somebody say something? Oh, God's transformation. When I look at that, it says when it makes something old to be better, God knows somebody can do that. If you have a relationship where it says pursue something, you know you pursued a girl a long time ago, a man, and you didn't get that person. But then finally, both of y'all got old, and what happened? You ran. Both of y'all got old and you got back together. A long time coming when it came. But who brought that together now? You just waited on God to bring that together. You can pursue something. He said he ready God brought it together. Okay. But that's the experience with the power of God of restoring something. And then, you know, it said, well, that's successful, something like that happened. Sometimes I hear people say they dated, some broke up, but then so many years, they got back together, they said they had the best relationship. Oh, that woman got me done. Okay, that must not be the right woman. All right, here we go. That pursuing that relationship. Well, the next time. Now we know God's power. Now we're going to look at God's provision. We said all three things lead back to one thing. Lead back to God. But look at the first one. Read it. What does 20 tell us?
There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that had not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed.
What is he talking about? What does Isaiah talk about when he said that? There should be no more. Thence an infant of days, not an old man had filled his days, for the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accused. Cursed. What are you talking about? That kind of stuff, y'all. Let me get to what he's talking about. Who is he talking to? He is talking to Judah. He is talking to Judah. Why do you know he's talking to Judah? Because back in the day there, it says when a man would live to be 40 years old, that was good. But if he see looking at 100, that was even greater. So what do we look for living to now? As long as we can. So they had a vision saying, if I can make it to 40 and pass 40, he was telling them that's a great vision for them. 100 years old today is a great vision for us. But then again, he said, what? If you have some kind of sin, he told them what was going to happen to them. They would be cut out. They wouldn't make it that 100. That's what that verse says. It says, 100 years old shall be accused if they're sin. So he telling them back there, 40 was a milestone for them. 100 today could be a milestone for us. 100 years old. Think about it. Everybody want to live as long as they can. We look to live into 100 or better. When he told them, Isaiah was telling them what God said, that you can live to be 100 if you do right. What was one of the things that they were doing so wrong? Sinning. What sin was they doing so wrong? Worship God. Worship that God that they had created in their mind and formed it and worship that. So he said, if you stop doing this here, you will be able to live longer. Isaiah was telling them that. We know the same thing happened to us. If we do what God says, and if it's God's intention for us to live past 100, what happened? You live past 100. But then when you be sin, as he's saying, God cut your days short. What it tells us about a church, a child sin, that your days shall be what? Cut short. Not only that, when you say a child, we are a child of what? It's just something we're grown. So that lets us know our days is going to be what? Cut because of our what? Sin. All this go back to one thing. Sin. When you sin, there's a penalty that you get away with it. That is a penalty to pay. Told them right there. And read what the nation tells us.
And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them.
Jews, folks, they were building houses and somebody else was staying in them. Isn't that funny? They were planting, somebody else would eat. But he told them what? If you do what God says. Now this is him. This is Isaiah telling them because he knew what had happened to the other side, which was the northern kingdom. They had sinned, they had been through them, so he telling them this vision. God said, if you do what I say, you're going to get a chance to plant. Not only you going to plant, but you're going to get a chance to eat what you plant. What he's telling them, you're going to plant it before, but somebody else going to eat it. You're going to build a house, but somebody else going to stay in the house. Now I'm telling you, if you do what God say do, you're going to get a chance to plant your vineyard. You're going to get a chance to live in the house. He was telling them that then. Some of the same thing happen to us. If we do what God tells us to do, we get a chance to build a house, a chance to live in the house. Some people plant crops, they get a chance to eat the crops. Because if you're doing what God tells you to do. It's the same thing. You see, this is a twofold lesson. Isaiah is talking to Judah, and also he predicted the future. John is telling us what's going to happen here in this twofold lesson. And if we read the next reading, what does it tell us?
They shall not build and another inhabit, they shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and my elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands.
Look what happened. You get built, you're going to get a chance to live in it. Nobody, you're not going to build a house for Mr. Me, and Mr. Me going to live in it, and you don't live in it. You're going to build a house, and who's going to live in it? You're going to live in it. You're not going to plant a garden, and Dick Liner going to come eat up your garden because you're gone. You're going to get a chance to eat up your own garden. If you do what, Dick said be somewhere, because he's going to be around. But in case Dick, going to be somewhere, that's what he's telling. It's the same thing. He's telling them, say, if you do what God say do, you're going to get a chance to reap what you sow. Now, isn't that good? I plant it, I eat it. I build it, I stay it. That's what he was telling them, and John was telling us the same thing here. I kind of like it there. Did you get a chance? Because those people back there, they were slaves. They couldn't live in the house. They built a house and the king would stay in there. But God told them, now tell them, Isaiah, tell them if they build it, they have a chance to stay in it. Now, when is this coming? Now, here's going to be the next topic, really going to get us good. When is all this coming to pass? That question. I just got something to say. I guess you all still away. Well, here's the question. How do the words of this prophecy enrich your understanding and expectation of heaven? How does that make you feel about heaven? Your expectation of heaven. Well, what is your expectation of heaven? Anybody can answer that question. What do you expect? To live the life to get to heaven. What do you expect? Your expectation of heaven. No more worry. What do you expect? No more sickness. I mean, no more doctors. What is your expectation? Everybody will be equal. There's no big eyes, there's no big U's. What's your expectation? And how do you get there to feel that expectation? Live right. And by what? By the word of God. Isaiah was telling them, John was telling us the same thing in the New Testament. The way we get to heaven is not talking about somebody. The way we get to heaven is what? Praying. The way we get to heaven is what? Love. There's two things we got to do. One, love who? Love God. Two, love thy neighbor. Now, everything you know is included right there. If I love God like I say, am I going to talk about you? No. If I love God like I say, am I going to backbite you? If I love God like I say, am I going to sleep with your wife? No. If I love God like I say, am I going to do the wrong thing that's taking place? If I love God, if I love my neighbor, am I going to talk about my neighbor? Because you got to do what? Love. This thing he'll say when you talk about that. So that's my expectation to get to heaven. Heaven is not that I'm going to walk in just like I am. There's something you have to do to get to heaven. What do I have to do? Love God and love thy neighbor. Those two things cover everything, every commandment, all 10 commandments. When you do those two things like that, you have covered the 2 commandments. Love God first. I can't love God and hate you. Why not? I never seen God. But what do I do? I see you. Every day. So I have to love God and I have to love you. How do I love God? Through you. If I love you, that means I love God. So those are the 2 things. And with that, some of the way that I get to heaven. Heaven is not going to be just a walk-in. You got to earn your way there. And here we go for the next one. This is a good one here. It says, God peace. We got God power. We got God provision. Now we have God peace. What is that God peace? When things go wrong in your life, who can you call on? God. And what does God give you? He gives you peace, and all of that, he gives you what? Peace of mind. When everything is going wrong, family talking about me, friends talking about me, enemies talking about me, all I need to do is call on God because God can give me what? Peace. But what to who? I got to believe that God can give me peace. This lesson, they say you got to have what? Hope. What is the hope? That God gonna do what he says. Now, a lot of people don't believe that. So if you don't believe it, that's your problem. But the problem says you have to have hope. This is my hope. When you dream about hope. When you have that peace, that means everything's all right. When I go to bed at night, my mind should be at ease because I know I got food. I got God. And with God, that gives me peace of mind. I can lay down and don't have to worry about what's going to happen. If God called you today, you should have peace of mind. If he called you today, you ought to know that you're going to heaven. If he called you today, you ought to be prepared. So what is that? That's peace of mind. No matter what people say, I ought to have peace of mind. No matter what the world may do, my mind ought to be at what? Peace because I got you. I got God. When you got God and know that God can give you peace, what else do you need? You don't have to be rich. All you have to have is rich in spirit. If I get rich in spirit, who do I have? God. If I got God on my side, I don't worry about my enemy. Because I know God will do what? Fight our battle. If God fights your battle, what do you worry about? Because the battle is already won. All you got to do is just believe, trust, and have what? Faith that he's going to do what he said to do. He hasn't failed yet. So why should I not believe that he's going to fail me if I do what it says? Now here's the good part I like this when I read this in. Read it. I think somebody said something too. Okay, talk to read it. I hear something. James. Oh, this one. Okay. All right, read it. Give us 23. James is feeling good this morning.
They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them.
Look what it says. The labor shall not be in vain. They shall bring forth trouble, that the seeds of the blessed. Now, when it goes back to this part right here, it went back to the childbirth. You read that? It went back to childbirth. It said, in this new heaven. Wait a minute. You're going to have babies in heaven? I see my head shaking. In this new heaven, they shall not labor in vain. If you're going back to childbirth, in this new heaven, how are you going to have a baby in heaven? You read that part right there? Deacon said you can't. What is he talking about right here? Well, this is what he's talking about. I figure you already know. He's talking about in the Revelation, it tells us that Jesus is coming back. Now, when he comes back, there's going to be 1,000 years. You heard about that, Father? About 1,000 years that Jesus is going to be. And within that 1,000 years, here we're talking about right now. He's going to create a new heaven for the people there. Now, when he creates a new heaven, that he said with this 1,000 years, what's going to happen to Satan in the 1,000 years when Jesus comes back? What's going to happen to Satan? Revelation tells us that Satan's going to be bound with the chains and he's going to be in hell for 1,000 years. Now, here's the good part. All he was telling them about the new heaven and the new earth, that means when Jesus comes back, he's coming back not to judge this time. He's coming back for 1,000 years. In those 1,000 years, he's going to create a new heaven for the people. Now, in those 1,000 years, there's going to be certain people that's going to rise. Who's going to rise in those 1,000 years? The people that have been murdered for God. The priest's going to rise. Everybody not going to rise. That's going to be the 1,000 years time that he's talking about right here. Look what it says right there. In that part right there. That means the people that be here, everything going to be good. Now, this is the next good part about it. There will be no more what we said earlier. In this 1,000 years that Jesus is going to come back, when he's going to win, this is going to be one of the best things that can happen in this 1,000 years that we talk about here. to hear something. All right, read it. Read that next one.
And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear.
He already here. He's telling them, before you speak, I already know what you're going to say. This is the 1,000 years that he's talking about right here. When Jesus come back, the rest of us will be sleeping, but the other will be preaching God's word. And during that preaching of God's word, Satan will be bound. So when Satan is bound, that means there will be no more what? Sin. He's going to bound Satan for 1,000 years. Read Revelation, tell us that. When he bound Satan for 1,000 years, that's when Jesus going to let his priests and other folks rule. But then again, after that happened, before we get to after it happened, when all this good stuff going to happen, that Jesus going to allow Satan to be bound and chained for 1,000 years, then he's going to make everything just like it was from the beginning. How was it from the beginning? In the garden of Adam and Eve, what happened before sin came about? Everything was what? Everything was good. Yeah. Isaiah telling them, in the 1,000-year reign when Jesus come back, everything will be just like it was from the beginning. Before sin came into the world, there was no sin. Adam and Eve sinned and caused everything to change. This other son's going to tell us all about it right there. What happened there? This is the time that Jesus come back. He's not coming back to judge. He's coming back on the throne and let the people come out and go ahead and preach. Because Satan's going to be bound. He's going to bound Satan for 1,000 years. But it says, we don't know when 1,000 years. Well, what do we feel like now? What do you feel like? You know Satan is what now? Satan is loose now. Why do you know Satan is loose? Children are killing. That's it. Did you hear about that little child last week shot himself with a gun? I think it meant. Do you see all the killing taking place right now? So what did that tell us taking place? Satan is loose. Do you see how mothers and dads are going against each other? How people doing everything on this earth right now? Satan is what? Satan is loose. So what I'm telling you, that Jesus is coming back. Not for us. He's coming back to try to get this folk to get right. This is going to be within that 1,000-year period. When you get that 1,000-year period, that's when this word's going to change. Just go back like it was. He talking about what? Jerusalem. Now, not the new Jerusalem. He's talking about the Jerusalem that he's going to make clean for everybody, the one to live. And it says that everybody not going to rise. Only the priests going to rise. Only the people that be beheaded going to rise. Who am I talking about? The disciples, they can be beheaded. They going to rise. They still going to preach God's word within that 1,000 years. And here we go right here. Read it. What the next tell us?
The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock. And thus shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, saith the Lord.
Now, when you read that, what comes to your mind? When it says the wolf and the lamb shall feed together. It's going to be like the first beginning. Did you read that too? They got along with each other. And when they got along with each other, because there was no what in the world. There was no sin in the world. Because that's how they got along. In the beginning, there was no sin. Right here, he's telling us, when Jesus come back for that 1,000-year reign, it'll be just like the beginning. Everything gonna be peaceful. Isn't that something? I would like to be here when that happens. There would be no more sin for 1,000 years. Can you imagine? You don't talk about me for 1,000 years like that? Think how that feel. Everything gonna be, what they say, lovely. You don't have to worry about changing your door because what? There's no more sin. You don't have to worry about doing anything wrong because there'll be no more sin. How long is this going to last? This is going to last for 1,000 years. But then, here's the catcher. After that 1,000 years, he's going to take the chains off Satan. Turn loose again. Now, Satan coming back again. But this time, it didn't say how long Satan coming back. But now, when Satan and God finished with him, that's when it happened. Resurrection. That's going to be the second resurrection. This was the first resurrection. The second resurrection is when he finished on us now. So what we got to do to make sure when Satan come back that we are living right, because he's coming back and Jesus going to let him come back. This tells us right there. Why? Because he said the animals going to get together. And then let me know what? I will be eating meat. What will you be eating? Fruit, just like they did in the garden. He's going right back to the garden. This is the what? This is the beginning of this thing here. When does that happen? In those 1,000 years reading. That's when God will make everything back like the beginning. In the beginning, there was no sin. The animals all got together. The animals got things together. No, they didn't know each other. What happened? Because there was no sin. So when he come back for this 1,000-year reign, that's going to be the same thing. There will be no sin. Everything will be, like they said, lovely, because God had come back again, let Jesus come back for the second time. This time, when they do that. But then when that time is in, when those 1,000 years in, or whenever in between, he come back and judge us. Now, what does that judge mean? You're going to sample the book. The book will be open, and all your wrongdoing will come before you. That's going to be that resurrection right there. That's that second resurrection for us. This right here in 1,000 years, he's talking about how he's going to let things go and go let Satan have his way. He's going to bound it and let him come back again. Now, you can't beat that. If you want to live right and do what God says, here's your chance. Because when you leave here, you don't have enough chance. Your chance is right here every day. You need to get yourself together. Look what's happened. Everybody in those days going to be just known as a tree. What that mean? Your life going to be like a tree. There's no day in it. Because if you do what? Right. When that's going to happen? In those 1,000 years. If anybody around in those 7,000 years, when Jesus comes. He's not coming to judge the first part. He's coming to give a chance for those people there, and that's it. You won't have another one up there. When he bound Satan and loose Satan, Satan's going to do his thing. You think he's bad now. You wait. If you live, you just wait. When Satan come back. Satan come back to do what? Rob, steal, and kill. He's going to be even worse than because he's been bound for 1,000 years. Can you imagine? No sin. Then I'm going to come back. You know I'm coming back with what? I'm coming back with vengeance. Think about you, Satan. You're coming back with vengeance. You done kept me down for 1,000 years, God. When I come back, I'm coming back. But if you live right, the one that here don't have to worry about it. Because God gonna what? Protect you. But it's up to you to do right. You know what I like about it? God give you a chance. Your chance is to either do right or your chance is to do wrong. What do we have? It seems like we got more wrongdoing. If you read what I'm saying, read Revelation 20 and 21. That's what this lesson coincides with. When you read about what Isaiah was saying, then you read Revelation 20 and 21, it tells us the same thing about the loose and what's going to happen there. And then, anybody? Oh, man, today, man, that's God's peace. So here's a question. How can we enjoy God's peace today while navigating busy schedules and the pressure of life? How can you enjoy God's peace while you got all this room? I got to get up and go to work tomorrow. I got to do this tomorrow. I got to do that tomorrow. How can you enjoy God's peace? By his word and by giving God some T-I-M-E. Time. Give God some time. Don't give everybody else your time and give God no time. How can you enjoy peace? Give God some time. How do you give God some time? Read your Bible. Get the understanding of your Bible. When you read God's word, take some time out for God. You know, we take time out for everything else. Let's see, my little boy got to go to the softball game. I got to be there. My daughter got to go to cheerleading practice. I got to be there. Well, it's Sunday morning. I don't think one church. He said, I want to see mom. What happened? We give everybody time except who? God. And who woke you up this morning? God. My little daughter didn't do it. Your son didn't do it. So why can't we give him some time? Who allowed you to come to church this morning? Your car didn't do it. God did it. Who allowed you to be sitting here this morning? God did it. So why can't we give him some time? It's so hard to give God some time. We can find time for everything. 12 o'clock is time for my soap opera. What I got to do? Look at my soap opera.
You sure know what to say.
You don't know what to say. I want to say that. I get TV time. It's my TV time now. You know, 8 o'clock is my TV time. Let me see. 2 o'clock is my nap time. You know, we find all kind of time. But all the time we don't give God some what? Time. Give everybody some time. I got to go visit. I got to go to work. You get the boss man some time. So what's wrong with giving God some time? He don't want to waste your time. Just give him a little of your God time. When you give God time? Anytime. Anytime you give God time. But what you do, you find everybody else time. I got to go see my grandmother. I got to go see my granddaddy. I got to go everywhere except what? Giving God time.
Yes.
Tomorrow, I got to go to work. Tomorrow, when I ain't be here, you don't go to work. So what you do? Give God some time when? Right now.
Right now.
You can't pass it up. When you give God time? Right now.
Right
You don't pass it up. I got to give God time. And I won't sit down with my time.
That's all right there. That's fine.